All right, back with a few more defensive use of a firearm stories for you. We're going to start in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where we have an adult 21-year-old victim who was unharmed, and our suspect is a 23-year-old male who was injured. And this one looks to be like a carjacking. Pizza delivery driver shot a suspect during a carjacking and attempted robbery in Philadelphia's Chestnut Hill neighborhood. Police said the incident happened as the 21-year-old pulled up to the Village at Chestnut Hill Apartments. Late Tuesday night, two masked men with guns forced the delivery driver back into his vehicle. Police said the delivery driver from Queen Bees eventually got out of the car and one suspect followed him. That's when the shooting occurred. It appears that there was a robbery carjacking, and our delivery man, the victim of the robbery, was able to pull out his weapon. He was in a shootout with one of the perps, and the perp was shot in the lower back. The delivery driver was not hurt and has a license to carry. Police said a second suspect remains on the run. People in the area told Action News that they recognize the driver's need for self-defense. He got it all right in the world to defend himself. Okay, so this is a pizza delivery driver. And I really have to question why anybody would ever take these jobs anymore. They don't pay that much, these delivery driver jobs. They don't pay a lot. And you go into these areas and these guys get hit. I mean, we just had that Amazon driver that got struck. Someone shot him when he put a package at the door. That was just a few weeks ago. It's happening to everybody. The Uber drivers, I don't know why people do these jobs. None of them pay enough to make it worth the risk. And there's no hazard pay for being a police pizza delivery driver. All right, so let's go to Minneapolis, Fridley, Minnesota. Must be a suburb. 911 caller alleged that shot someone who attempted to rob them. Okay. All this is a tweet that said reportedly occurred during some kind of sale or meetup. So this is probably something you hear about, the stuff about Craigslist and all those other sites where people go to and they try to buy things, and oftentimes the person doesn't even have the item that they're trying to sell. They put a post up for it, you go meet them, and all they want to do is rob you and take your money. So I don't know that that's what happened in this because there is very little information about it. But assuming it's something of that nature where the person never even had the item that they were trying to sell in the first place, or something went wrong and the guy tried to rob him and this guy ended up shooting the person who tried to rob him. So now we're going to go to Livonia, Michigan, where we have 3 victims. One was killed. That's 27-year-old female Markyla Sadler. And then we got a 24-year-old male and a 25-year-old male. And our suspect is 24-year-old Lania Julieah Conn. That's a female. So we got a female suspect in this. All right, let's see what happens on this one. A woman is dead and another is in custody after a shooting early Tuesday morning in Livonia that police say stemmed from a fight. They said officers also arrested a man in connection with the shooting. Livonia police said they were called around 1 a.m. to the parking lot of a liquor store. And shots fired. Officers arrived and found Redford Township woman, 27 years old, deceased with an apparent gunshot wound. According to the preliminary investigation, the woman and the female suspect of Detroit had an argument inside the store. The two continued to fight when they got outside of the store and into the parking lot. Police said the suspect fired a gun at the victim. At that point, a 25-year-old Detroit man who was with the victim returned fire, striking a suspect and a 24-year-old Warren man who was with her. Investigators said. They also said the Detroit man had an expired concealed carry pistol license and was arrested on the scene. The female suspect and the man with her were taken to the hospital, treated, and released. Livonia police arrested her after Hospital staff cleared her. They said the woman has a valid concealed carry license. Detectives said they recovered all the firearms believed to have been used during the incident. They also said it appears that none of the parties involved in the shooting knew each other. So the story kind of sounded like there was two groups of people, but maybe they just kind of got together that way, and maybe that's what happens in Detroit. One person pulls out a gun and starts shooting somebody, and everybody else that's in the vicinity takes the opportunity to fire their own weapons as well. That story is a little on the confusing side because it says they don't know each other. Nobody knew each other, but it kind of reads like they did know each other. Anyway, let's go to District Heights, Forestville, Maryland. We have an adult male victim who was unharmed, and our suspect was killed in this one, 35-year-old Jonathan Griffin. And this was an armed robbery. Oh, this is an armed robbery of a Brinks truck. An Upper Marlboro man was shot and killed inside a Forestville Starbucks Wednesday afternoon after police say a Brinks armored truck employee fired his weapon. Police have identified the decedent as 35-year-old Jonathan Griffin. Significant presence. We'll skip over all that. Let's see. The department received a call around 2 p.m. reporting shots fired. The investigation into the shooting is in the early stages, but so far police believe the armored truck employee was inside the Starbucks conducting business when Griffin walked behind the counter. What transpired from when the armored truck employee removed his handgun and fired rounds, killing the decedent, to the point of the decedent walking in and the point of the armored truck driver pulling the weapon and discharging. That's what we're currently investigating. So the armored truck driver's inside the Starbucks, and the decedent, the guy that was trying to rob him clearly, came in, and the armored truck driver ended up shooting him. I don't know why people think, I mean, you see this on in the movies and on TVs, people robbing these armored trucks, and you kind of ask yourself, do people really do this? And clearly they do, because I do reports like this of these self-defense things from these armored truck drivers quite often, actually. And it doesn't ever end well for the guy who's trying to rob them because these guys have guns on them. So, I don't know. It's not when you rob a bank, fine, you're probably the only person in there that has a gun. But when you're robbing these armored trucks, the drivers all have guns. So, I don't know. Criminals aren't always the smartest people. Anyway, let's go to Wichita Falls, Texas, where we have an adult male victim, 36 years old, who is unharmed, and our suspect is an 18-year-old male. Wichita police were called to the area just before 10:45 p.m. On the scene, officers found an 18-year-old man with a gunshot wound to the leg on the porch of a residence. The victim was taken to the hospital for treatment, but later taken to another hospital for surgery. While detectives were still investigating the scene, a 36-year-old man arrived and admitted to shooting the victim. The man described the shooting as self-defense. He also turned over the gun used in the shooting. Given the suspect's testimony and the evidence of the scene, detectives have released the suspect. The investigation into the incident is ongoing. So this 18-year-old gets shot on his porch, but the guy that shot him, who was probably on the street walking by, calls it self-defense. Or maybe he was on the porch with the guy when it happened. It doesn't really say, and I don't know, but they're calling it self-defense. Let's just move on to the next one. That's from Richmond, Kentucky, where we have an adult male, 74-year-old Gerald Barger, who is unharmed, and our suspect, 42-year-old Robert Girdner. He was injured and arrested. The Kentucky State Police, Post 7, Richmond, was contacted just before 2:30 p.m. in reference to a shooting that occurred on Doylesville Road in Madison County. The initial investigation indicates 42-year-old Robert Girdner of Richmond came to the property of 74-year-old Gerald Barger of Madison County and confronted him during the confrontation. It is alleged Barger felt threatened by Girdner and discharged his firearm, striking Girdner. Robert Girdner was transported by ambulance to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. As a result of the preliminary investigation, Robert Girdner was medically cleared and taken into custody. Mr. Girdner had an active warrant for terroristic threatening, third degree, and has been lodged in the Madison County Detention Center. Love that when they say lodged. So this guy goes up to this older gentleman that was in his yard, apparently, and confronts him, and the guy that lived there, he shot him. He felt threatened and he shot him. And this guy turns out to has a warrant for terroristic threats. So probably a good thing for the 74-year-old that he did, fire on this guy, because who knows what this guy was going to do. This is the picture that's on the thumbnail. That's Robert Girdner. Well, he's in jail, at least for now. All right, Greenwood, Mississippi. This is the last one we have. We got an adult victim who was unharmed, and our suspect, 18-year-old Kyler Matthews, was killed, and this looks like it's an armed robbery. An 18-year-old is dead after being shot while allegedly committing an armed robbery on Sunday. According to authorities, the Sheriff's Department investigator Bill Slayton said that 18-year-old Kyler Matthews of Greenwood was the alleged robber during the incident in front of the W.J. Bishop Apartments on Clay Avenue. The time of the incident was around 4:08 p.m. Not a lot to go on with that, other than the guy who ended up getting shot and killed was trying to rob somebody in front of an apartment building, and it didn't work out so well for him. So this is actually odd. I just did 7 or 8 stories, and not one of them was a home invasion. A lot of these this has been a lot of robberies. Normally I do these, and half of them are home invasions, but maybe people took the week off of invading people's homes. All right, well, that's all I have for you today, but I'll be back next week with more defensive use of a firearm stories for you. Thanks for watching.